Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the main event. Facing him across the ring, representing ALLRAGE Boxing, he's the fighting pride of England and the reigning, defending heavyweight host. Please welcome Billy.
Welcome everyone back to the ALLRAGE Podcast, and I'm really excited today for our special guest. This one is massive. I've had a lot of people online with a lot of questions for the person I have just sitting opposite me now. So without further ado, let's introduce the man himself, the legend, the cut man, the corner man, the trainer, and all-round legend to a lot of us, Mr. Ian Jumbo Johnson.
Thank you, Bill.
How are you, sir?
I feel very honoured that you've said you've got so many questions for me. I'm going to be looking forward to some of these because sometimes you get on podcasts and you know in advance, and they always like, do you know, is it okay? Are you okay? But this is like a no holes barred, so let's just crack on. I like that.
So I thought I'd throw them out there at you in a bit, so we'll get into that in a moment. And do you know, first of all, it's an honour you even coming on here for me because
Thank you.
I've known you for a very, very long time. We've met through different areas and different things, and it's amazing. So so to start off with, anyone that comes on the show, I like to give them an ALLRAGE cup. So you do have that in front of you.
I'll take that home from me.
So
we got me coffee.
We got the ALLRAGE cup for the coffees.
Thank you very much.
So you can keep that one. And then we might as well get into it. So where did everything start really for you? So
started back many, many years ago. Excuse me. I used to help out at boxing clubs when I wanted to probably compete a little bit. But, weigh in, see what you are on the Friday, come back on the Monday. No, I wasn't good with my weight over the weekend because at that age, 15, 16... dabbling a little bit of drinking, dabbling a little bit of finding females, and you lose your way a little bit. And then I started helping out, and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed getting into the helping out at the gym and helping out with the training and holding the pads. So I did that, but then I had a falling out with one of the coaches. He told me I'd never come to anything, and I went away. I decided to make him eat his words, and as they say, the rest is history.
Well, yeah, definitely. Saying you'd never, amount to anything, and look where you are now. So, and how long ago was that?
Well, I've been working with Matchroom since 1996.
Okay.
So it was about 2 years before that.
Wow. Okay, and
so
then
about 30 years.
Wow. Okay, so that person can eat their words, really, can't they? So
yeah.
So you got into it through like you say, them channels there, helping out, and what's really been your motivation and drive to keep pushing forwards in the areas that you've worked within? So what's kind of been that? Let's keep you going.
I mean, I started obviously just doing some driving for Matchroom, and then I really wanted to get on and learn the hands and cuts. So I started doing a little bit myself. And then Matchroom were good enough to give me the chance to work with some of the foreign fighters that come in. And then I met a gentleman who is now passed, and his name was Al Gavin, cutman to the stars. He was Lennox Lewis's cutman for 12, 13 years.
Wow.
He used to work with Irish Mickey Ward,
Yep.
which I had the pleasure of meeting, going to Lowell Mass and doing some bits with him. And other people like Jess Harding and people like that. And he said to me, like, if you want to do this, you've got to do it. You've got to do it properly. You mustn't play at it. You've got to respect the fighters, respect the business, and show them inside and outside that you're capable of doing this. And that's what I've tried to do. I still talk to his son, who now lives in Florida. He used to live in Bethpage, New York, Long Island, but when his dad died and his mum passed, he sold up and moved down to Tampa, Al Gavin Jr. And then sadly his wife passed last year, so he's on his own with his dogs. And but we still talk.
Yeah.
His dad this year gets inducted into the Canastota Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And
so that's a major achievement,
Yeah, if someone like a pretend boxer, like, no disrespect, Rocky can get invited into the Hall of Fame, There's no reason why Al Gavin can't.
Yeah, and someone I've definitely heard of before and followed, and I know how much of an achievement it is, for someone to reach that. So would you say he's one of your inspirations?
He was my mentor.
Your mentor, okay.
He was the best thing that ever happened to me, as in the boxing game.
Yeah.
Came into my life, put me straight on a couple of things, gave me wise words on a couple of things, and from then on, no problems.
So he mentored you to get to where you are now, like you say, and then when he passed there, as you mentioned, how did you feel?
I
at
was
that
gutted,
time?
absolutely, because he'd only been for a full you'd call an MOT, had a check and everything, and then he had a stroke. I think about a week or 10 days later.
Wow! All of a sudden comes up like that.
You never know.
Yeah, and did that kind of keep you going? It made you want to do more, did it, or did it throw you off a little bit?
What it wanted me to do, was to be the best I can, but also with whatever I've learned from him, and I learned through my own pickup on everything. I wanted to help others that wanted to do this. So people like Matt Warnham come to me, said he wanted to get his licence. He done that. Neil Dempsey, done that. Dave Milner, he's done that. Nice. Natalie Lewis, done that. Matt Upton, Ashley Feach, Simon down where I am now.
Yep.
He wants to do it as well, and he's got his seconds licence. He wants to learn the cuts and the hands, and I'm going to help him with that. Because if Al's taught me correctly and I teach these people correctly, there's other people out there as well. Kevin and Aza, they've all come to me and asked, and they've all gone and done their own thing, and they're all doing their own fighters now as well. Yeah,
so it's like what he's taught you, you're passing that on, and it's living through you, isn't it? Really, so that's
a lot of
amazing.
People have come to me and said,
I
spoke to certain cut men, and they're not interested. They don't want to give up their secrets, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know what the problem is, because to me, if I'm teaching you something, in 10, 15 years' time, when I've stopped or given it up or can't do it no more, at least I know it's in good hands.
Definitely, that's it. And I did your cut course, and it was really enjoyable. I learned a lot, and the way that you explain things and you talk about, little different things that you have there, little tips.
Things
it's
like
really
the central nervous system.
Yeah,
the squeezing of the cuts, and how much time you've got, and just simple things like that. Pressure, cold compress.
Definitely. So on the back of that, then, what would be your advice for anyone that wants to get into that line of
It's funny you should say that, because down at Ringcraft, we've done a few courses and that down there. And we've had a couple of people come down and say, we're going to come down, join the gym. Now, Ringcraft Boxing is a growing club. Simon is developing it and making it bigger and better. He's got a good set of memberships, a good amateur set up down there, and now we're looking at pros as well. But people do take liberties. They come down, they ask questions, and then within 3 or 4 weeks, they're gone. And then we find out they're setting up their own stuff. But that's up to them. But what worries me is they haven't had the knowledge and the experience. Don't get me wrong. I didn't have the knowledge and experience when I first started, but I didn't go out there trying to push it.
Exactly.
I waited until I knew enough to do that.
And then go out and do that.
Yeah. I want people to be doing this who have the experience. I mean, many corners I've worked in with foreigners where they're tipping water over his head when you're trying to deal with a cut. Simple things like that. You put the Vaseline on, they wipe it off. These kind of things. But listen, anybody who wants to do it, I'd always help them, but they've got to have the knowledge, they've got to have the experience. But it's getting harder.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's getting harder,
It's getting harder to get into gyms and be a cut man.
Yeah, it's not something that you can just walk in and do now.
No.
You can walk in and train, be a boxer, try be a boxer, let's say, because I'm sure you've seen many of them times when we discuss that. But being a cut man, I had Lee on the last show talking about the ring announcing side of things. So Lee Thompson, he was on there, and he was talking about that as well, and about how that's a hard area of the game to get into.
You've got to know how to pronounce the names. You had from the start, you had people like John McDonald, excellent MC.
Yeah.
Went on to do the pool and the darts.
That's right.
Then you had David Diamante.
Yep.
And now you've got people like Big Mo.
Yeah.
Quality MC, Big Mo. David's a good MC as well. 2 different stages, so you get to see them both.
Definitely.
But it's not easy. You've got to start off with white collar shows or amateur shows and then build up, and hopefully you get the chance.
So would you say that is kind of the same for what, it potentially is now for even being a cut man, maybe start on the slower levels, build your way up, like you say.
Start at the roots.
Yeah, but it's a lot harder, isn't it now, like you say, to get into that. So Ringcraft, great club down there, definitely.
Very good club.
Doing a lot of stuff, and it's an amazing setup they've got down there. And Simon's done really well.
Simon's a good man. We're working together, but he's doing most of the things he wants to do because he has his own vision. He might ask me, and I might say what I feel, but he's the one that's doing it. I'm not there as a partner. I'm there as a trainer to help out and do my bits there.
Nice. So where did the name Jumbo come around?
Oh, going back a few years, that is. At one time, I was 21 stone 10.
Wow, okay.
And when I used to go to football... I used to drive because I used to drink, but I wasn't worried about drinking. And we used to go away to football matches, and the boys would say, like, we'll give you petrol and we'll buy you food or whatever you want. So they might have a pint and they might say to me, do you want anything? Oh, I'll have a couple of packets of cheese and onion. Another pint down. Do you want anything? I'll have a cheese roll. And they said I could eat like an elephant, and I used to hoover it up. I used to hoover it up like an elephant. So that's where it comes from.
Oh, okay, wow. Okay, so something a little bit simple has created the name that everyone now knows. I love that. There's not a lot of people that are going to know that, so that's amazing.
It's funny because when I was still working on the post office many years ago, people still knew me as Jumbo.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the lads, Les Smith, was working on one of the seaside runs. I think it was Seaford or somewhere around there. And he went into a little knick-knack shop and he found this elephant sitting on a stool with a pair of boxing gloves on. And he bought it and brought it back to me. And he said, I bought this for you.
Yeah.
And I was amazed. I thought it's brilliant. So after that, when I started working part-time doing boxing bits locally, training and that, I got a friend of mine, God bless his soul, he's passed away now, Colin Frost. He drew me the logo from the elephant sat on the stool. Yeah. And that's how I got my logo.
Wow. Okay, yes, that's a really good story.
Got it trademarked, and that was it.
Nice, and that's the one everyone knows now. You know, you put it on the certificates and the socials and the training. So when really did your career kind of take that leap into that next level? I know we spoke a little bit earlier about when how long you've been doing it for and it's been successful. When did you really get to that point where it was like, right, it's now taking off?
Well, you know, sometimes in this sport you have to speculate to accumulate. But I had to speculate to lose, as in, I got my name out there a little bit, and they say, "Oh, you're not at that show in so and so, are you?" "Oh, I can be there." "Oh, what you do?" So I'm having to lose money to get work, to get noticed. Right. So I say, "Just pay my petrol. I won't charge it." So okay.
Yeah.
After 2 or 3 years, then I had to start charging.
Yep.
And I think the biggest one, the first 2 that I really remember getting me back into a lot of people's eyes and heads was when I worked with the lovely Jane Couch, MBE.
Okay, yeah.
Out in America when she fought Jamie Clampett at Foxwood Casino. When Vinny Pazienza was the commentator and she beat Clampett out there. Wow. The second time we went back out there and we got robbed. So, yeah. And when the late, great Dean Francis from from Bristol, beat Tony Oakey, first man to stop Tony Oakey.
Wow.
He had 2 or 3 cuts, stopped him. He went on and he won the title.
Wow,
and obviously, in years to come, he became ridden with cancer. God bless him. And that was another good one. Yeah,
so that was like your turning point there, where it's like, you know, you're out in the States, that's massive out there, all the cameras, all the people, you know. As a cut man, do you get nervous?
Did do in the beginning. Yeah. Can't lie, mustn't lie. I did do in the beginning. But now it's just part of it.
It's like the bread and butter. You're used to it.
Yeah, now, I remember when Ryan Burnett was fighting Lee Haskins for the world title in Belfast, and there was a clash of heads in the first round. He came back to the corner and he had like that Harry Potter zigzag on his forehead here.
Oh, yeah.
And now he'd never been cut before. And he sat down and Adam Booth went, "Ryan, you've got to go out and win these next 3 rounds, because if it goes to the judges' scorecards, that cut's bad. Now, and I'm thinking, okay, you've said that. Now I've got to stay calm. And I was calm, plugged it, adrenalined it. Next round, plugged it, adrenaline it. At the end of the 4th round, the referee come across. This is a contest now. That cut stopped and sealed and healed. Now, I got a lot of praise out of that in a lot of places. But I always give praise to Ryan Burnett because he still had to go out there and he still had to box professionally.
Yeah.
And he did. And I then said to myself, I think that's because he believed in me.
Yeah, because you gave him that bit of help there in the corner, and he's gone out and kind of, I need to do this.
And he won the world title.
Wow, that's definitely an achievement.
That was a good piece. That was a good piece. There's been some other big cuts, but I've only ever had 2 stopped in all the time I've been doing it.
That actually leads me on to a question that I was asked to ask you: is what's been your worst cut? And to get under control. So what's been the worst cut you've had to deal with, and how long did it take you to
Ryan's
get under control?
Ryan's was
bad. Okay.
But that was so big, I could get massive swabs, massive amount of adrenaline into it, and probably, I think, 2-3 rounds, and I got it stopped. The 2 that I haven't been able to stop, one's going back a few years into Wolverhampton Civic Hall, when Marcus Portman fought Joseph Matocci from Hungary for the WBF middleweight, I think it was, and they clashed heads, a little cut, no problem, clashed heads again, got a bit bigger. Then they clashed again, and it split the whole of the eyelid, and the eyelid dropped, and it was spurting, so it hit a vein. So plugged it, I said to Ian John Lewis, and as soon as I took it off, he spurted again, and he went, no. So he had 16 internal.
Wow.
And 16 external.
Oh my gosh.
And the other worst one was, unfortunately, which I thought was a bit naughty, was the Hrgovic and Dubois in Saudi. Because I've still got videos on my phone of Daniel actually meaning to headbutt and spitting Phillips' eye open. And that was a horrible cut. That was a massive cut. And they didn't really give me a lot of time. They gave me 1 round, and then the referee showed it to the doctor. The doctor went, no. I'm not saying I could have stopped it completely, but I'm 100% sure in my own ability that I could have slowed that enough to Philip to get into the fight again.
Yeah.
It really threw him off his sync. And I felt sorry for him because he's a good boy, Philip. He's a good man.
And that's I saw that one actually. I was watching that one, and I did think, and knowing you, it's hard because knowing you, I'm like, I know you're going to have time to try and stop that.
Got
so
1 round, that was it.
Yeah, and it must be in that situation there that the boxer obviously looks at you to try and help him and resolve it. And if you have that relationship with him, maybe it's a little bit better. But
Philip still obviously went, oh, could you not have stopped it?
Yeah.
I said, I probably could have done.
Yeah, yeah.
But not just with 1 minute. I mean, 3 or 4 minutes over 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah. So then again, it's
it's not my call.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Philip's call.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
It's the referee and the doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
End of story.
Yeah, and they're there to look after the fighters, aren't they?
But you think, go back on again to when CBS, Crispin and Smith, the gentleman, fought out in Saudi last time against Ramirez. That was a horrible cut.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now, I got given good time on that.
Yeah.
And I slowed it and eventually stopped it, got him through the fight for him to be given a chance.
Yeah, I remember.
I didn't think there was any difference between that and Hrgovic's cut.
No, and now you mention it, looking at that, there wasn't much difference there, and it's just, I think at the time it's the circumstances, isn't it? And the guys that have made it. So, yes, on that, there's been a couple of like you say, a couple of hard ones that you've had to deal with, and only a couple there on that. Who's the best fighter you've ever worked with? So, the best boxer.
Do you know what? I couldn't honestly say there's one that always shines out for me as the best. I'm very honoured and lucky to have worked with Tyson Fury. I've worked with Billy Joe Saunders, Joe Joyce, Katie Taylor, Daniel Dubois, all of Shane's lads, all of them, from Anthony Fowler, Robbie Davis Jr., Lawrence Okoli. But the elite that he's got in there at the moment with people like Ellie Scotney, Caroline Dubois, Adam Azim, Hassan.
Yeah, I've seen him actually. Yeah, really, really.
All my fighters, to me, that I have the pleasure of working with, even if they're foreigners, are special. They're special to me because they've actually asked me. They're letting me look after them.
Nice. And that's a big thing, you know. It's
It's a
having that
massive
responsibility, isn't it? You know. And these guys are going out there and ladies and gents going out there getting battered and things in the ring, and they're looking to you for that advice on that. So you know, these people in person, are they people like Tyson Fury, let's say, are they like they are as you see
Tyson
them?
Fury to me was polite and a gentleman. Can't say anything bad about him when I worked with him.
Nice.
Excellent. I never worked with him again. I don't think that was because I'd done anything wrong, but according to Ben, it was things behind the scenes that they wanted. So that was fine.
Yeah, that's fair
Katie
enough.
Taylor, 5 or 6 years I worked with Katie, and then she moved out to America full-time with Ross Eminer, and they used someone from out there. It's not a problem. It is what it is. You know, I worked with Nathan Cleverly up until he retired after Badu Jack. You know, great times.
Definitely. And out of all of them, who would you say, and the ones that you've worked with, who's the hardest person that you've potentially come across, like as in actual physical, you thought, "Oh, he's a bit tasty."
Mickey Ward.
Yeah.
Irish Mickey Ward, without a shadow of a doubt.
Nice. And
Saw
why
2 of
is
the
that?
fights with Gatty.
Right.
Didn't
Yeah.
see the first one because I was in hospital after a road traffic accident.
Yeah.
But I saw it, you know, on video and seen him train. I see him over here training with his brother Dickie Eklund when he fought Shane Neary for the WBU title on the Nassim Hamid Vianney Bungu undercard at London Olympia. But he was one tough son of a bitch.
I bet. Yeah.
Tough man. But what a lovely man. Him and his now wife, you know, Charlene and the family were over here. And Al was here as well then. He was working mixed corner. Mickey was a tough man.
Yeah, he comes across like that, definitely. But he also comes across a really nice guy
He's
as well.
de-
And most of these people aren't they?
They are, all are. I mean, they're very humble, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So you work for Matchroom at the moment.
I work freelance for Matchroom, for Boxer, for people who want to employ me. I get calls that I might have to go when there's not a show on somewhere else to work with them, you know.
Nice. And is that through word of mouth or recommendations?
Some is word of mouth, some's recommendation. Some is like people see and read things, you know. Like the other week with Ellie's cut, the BBC put a nice piece up saying the cut man done a great job.
Yeah, nice.
Didn't see the cut after the first round, you know.
Yeah.
Lee Wood.
Yep.
I spoke to Lee the other day and he's told me that he's got a date coming up, so I've got to make available for that. But he's had some bad cuts and I've got some good feedback off stuff like that.
Nice.
When you do a good job, like Al used to say to me, you're only as good as your last
Is your last
fight.
job? Yeah, or
if
your
you
last
can't
job.
stop the flow,
Yeah.
there's good possibility you got to go.
Yeah, no, that's the one way of looking at it. You know, in you know, in the industry I'm in with the security and stuff like that, it's you're only as good as your last job. You know, so and we've seen each other a couple of times at Matchroom events. There's been a couple there. Saudi, we haven't met in Saudi, but we've been in Saudi at the same kind of times. Do you enjoy Saudi?
I like Saudi. I do.
Yeah, I like it over there.
I like the fights because there's some big fights.
Yeah.
I wish they could make the crowds a bit livelier, a few more people in there. I love the hot weather, don't I? I love warm weather, me. I'm a sun man, but yeah.
Do you get much downtime out there to like look around and see things?
For Chris's, I'd get there, and then they say we're picking you up, we're doing this, and then we're doing that. So I get a bit of time.
Yeah, it's nice.
I love to walk, so I go and walk around, you know, just up and down the high roads or the streets, and just get a bit of sun and walk around.
It's nice out there. They got Mike Tyson's gym over there at Boulevard World.
We went there, Hergovich Strange there.
That's it. I went and visited it about 2 years ago when I was out there. Didn't go in at a time, but really good there. And from what I've seen, it's nice. Boulevard World's insane over there. Like some of the things,
absolutely.
Yeah. Some of the stuff they're creating over there is next level. Obviously, you've got the Bivol rematch coming up as well. Yeah. That's going to be massive. What he's doing out there, what Turk Ali's doing out there is massive. And I don't think anybody's done that on that level ever. He's putting fights together now. There's something recently that's just been going up and down about Canelo, whether he's going to fight Crawford. I think that's off now, they said today. They're talking about YouTube boxers fighting him, things like that. We'll get onto that in a minute. But Saudi, I definitely think is the next place for all of that, but they just need to up the crowds a little bit more, like you say.
Yeah.
And
get a bit more of an atmosphere in there.
Yeah, a bit more of an atmosphere. That must be the worst thing, going in as a boxer.
Can you imagine Ricky Hatton fighting there? with 10,000 going in, they wouldn't know what hit them, would they?
Yeah, no, that's true.
I mean, Ricky had some following.
Yeah, I was going to say to you about Ricky actually because I go out to Tenerife quite a lot, and Ricky's out there. He's got he lives out there now and again, goes to and from. He's also got his Hatton boxing and the gym and everything like that. Did you work with Ricky?
No, I never had the pleasure of working with Ricky, but I worked against Ricky a few times, and he always says hello. And I've done Matthew Hatton's corner a couple of times when Kerry Kays hasn't been about. And Ricky's always as good as gold. Nice as hello, Jumbo, how are you? You know,
really nice guy he is. Yeah, I met him a couple of times. He's a really nice guy. On to what I was talking about a moment ago. So we talk a bit about the whole, YouTube boxing, things like that. People that come on here, I ask them for their honest opinion on it. What's your honest opinion on the whole YouTube area?
Like
No? Okay.
I have been asked by a good friend of mine I used to train and fight with me at Like to Box, Joey Knight. I've done his corner a couple of times. And he ain't a bad boxer, he ain't a bad fighter. But somebody, ex-fighters coming back to fight people, it's just, I think it's not good.
Yeah, and you got I call them YouTube, but they're influencers apparently. So, they're making a lot of money, and they're making people a lot of money.
People are getting a lot of money.
People are getting a lot of money, but is that the end and end all of it when you've got people who have spent years and years training to fight?
You think Katie Taylor, Serrano on the undercard of Tyson and Jake Paul. They gave you possibly one of the best female fights you're ever likely to see. And I touch my hat to both ladies.
That was an insane fight.
And then you come back and watch the fast afterwards.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, that's true. When you think about it, that fight should have been the main card. That's the fight that should have been on their main card. And touching on that fight, that was an incredible fight. I remember watching that thinking these two are warriors, like absolute warriors. Serrano is next level, and so is Taylor.
First one was good.
Yeah, first one was good. Yeah, and some of the cuts that were happening in that, and some of the boxing, and then that female boxing at the moment is growing, I believe. You see it from another element from what you're involved in. But female boxing is growing, and I think they're definitely leading the way with it, and pushing it higher. Again, we need more of it, don't we, really? So do you get a lot more females coming to you asking to train?
I get a lot of females for one-to-ones and wanting to learn things, I just think Lindsay up in Sheffield was doing women in boxing, and that was really taking off and getting people to who want to be cut persons, trainers and conditioners and that. And I think we do need more. We do need more.
100%.
But female boxing, it's ever since 2012, since the Olympics, it's gone through the roof.
Yeah, it has.
There's some good girls out there now.
There is. Yeah, there's some real good ones. You know,
and there's some ones that are under the line that aren't getting all the exposure, but are what you would call probably journeywomen. Yeah,
the ones.
So they're still tough. There's a lot of good girls out there.
Yeah. Good.
Looking forward to the 7th of March with the All Ladies show.
Yeah, that looks good. That one looks good. I've seen that, and should be really good. That it's good that they're doing that and putting that on. Like you say, it's showcasing the best. Isn't
I think it's the third one they've done, Boxer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good. And do you like working with one of the organisations better, or is everyone kind of work and operate the same?
No, they don't all work and operate the same. You have to adjust to how they work.
Yeah,
you can't pick and choose who you work for. If they come to you, you do it. If they don't, they don't. If they want you, they want you.
Yeah, definitely. So, throughout your time of being involved in boxing, and the whole point of this, I put it together to talk a little bit about mental health and a little bit how people suffer with that. And I'm sure that's something you've come across yourself throughout the years, on mental health and things you've seen. So, there a story there where you've kind of suffered with that and had to get over that? And
I'm not going to lie. The only mental health problems that I've ever had, and it's all been through deaths.
Yeah.
My mum and my dad.
Okay.
My sister. And my young grandson, Oliver, who was 8.
Wow.
And that still hurts now.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
No. I had to make the telephone calls to people to try and get someone to talk to me. And I took my problems to them on the phone or by iPad. Mental health otherwise, other than that, no. Because my family really do give me a lot back in. My wife is fantastic. All my kids and my grandkids always look out for me and everything on the boxing and that. But loss of family, I think's hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Loss of close friends, obviously, but never really suffered myself other than them times. I had some really low times, but my wife was so strong. She backed me. She told me what I should be doing. I need to get this done, that done, and I spoke to people. I've had a lot of people come to me and say, look, I need to train. I need this. I need you to help me focus. And I've helped them. Anybody's willing. Like I've said to all my clients, I'm only at the end of the phone. You want to give me a call, pick up the dog, give me a call.
That's it, yeah.
And we'll speak, because you must speak. Don't let that volcano erupt and flow.
And that's the hardest thing, I think, is speaking about it. You know, I've been through my own journey with it, and a lot of it stemmed as well from death and people passing. So, you know, in about 3 years, I had my uncle pass away, my brother-in-law, my best friend, all them kind of things. You know, and a little bit like you're saying there. You know, I had to make the phone calls and do all that kind of stuff. And actually, my uncle was out in Ukraine at the time, living out there.
Really?
Yeah. So that was insane going out there. But thanks for sharing that with us. You know, because you still have suffered with it on that level. You know, death is something it's going to happen to everyone, isn't it? But it's hard when you sit down, reflect, think about it. And I think, you know, there you've made a good point. Your wife was there for you. You know, she was there, your support, wasn't she? So, and it's always good to have that family unit.
It is, but sometimes I think to myself, how did my son and my daughter-in-law ever get through it? Because it kills me now when I see pictures of Oliver and I think of Oliver. How did they ever? They're never going to get over it. They've never got over it. You never do. But every day is a new day. They have to. Oliver is always going to be there. But strong family backing, strong good friends and community that know you.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm not one to put it out there that much. All the things that have happened to me, I've kept them, excuse me, quite close to my family that I want to talk to. And the people on the phone lines who are absolutely brilliant. These agencies that do things for people, like for mental health and Samaritans and people like that, mate, that they are brilliant.
Yeah, no, like I say, I really appreciate you sharing that with us, because, like I say, I know you're quite a private, reserved person with it. So even sharing that with me, it's really appreciated. And I think I went to Mind, and I spoke to Mind at the time. They were really good. I went to Mind, and I was a bit apprehensive at first, and I thought, I don't really want to do that, because you think they're not going to know about me, are they? And actually, they're blooming excellent. Yeah, they were really good. Gave me some tips and pointers, and there's triggers now that I know if it sets me off, I know what I need to do to deal with that. You know, and there's people out there that don't have that support, you know, and don't have that backing, and I think they get into boxing maybe to help them and channel that. Yeah. Channel that kind of mental health, or that anger, the drinking, things like that, stress, anxiety, and I think it helps, you know. So would you say boxing is probably one of the best forms of fitness you can do?
I do. Maybe I'm biased, I don't know. But,
but
I mean, I've known people who have come to me, have had small businesses, things have got tight, especially when they bought in the new national insurance thing, you know, and they thinking now, how am I going to cope with this? I'm going to have to start making people redundant. And they love coming to punch the pads, punch the bag, get a bit of a, you know, they take it out on something. Yeah. And if it's my pads and they're happy when they walk out, lovely jubbly. I've got to say, from when I started boxing years ago to now, I'm like, it's the best thing you can do to channel any sort of anger, any sort of problems, fitness, what it gives you. You let off them endorphins and you're happy, you know. So, and I think, so obviously you do a lot of training as well, coaching as well, and pad work and areas of that. What do you enjoy most about that? Oh, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Every single client is a different conversation, different way of boxing. So you have to structure yourself that they can't do all the things that you want them to do, like your last client. You've got to adjust it. Yeah. Because I've got kids from 7 or 8 up to 76, 78 years of age.
Wow. Yeah, so you're going to have to adjust what their needs are.
On what we do. We might do 2-minute rounds, but 2-minute rest.
Yeah.
We might do 1-minute rounds, 2-minute rest.
Nice.
Especially if they want to do that. You know, it's like we've got a structure down at Ringcraft. Anybody who comes in to the gym and wants to train, me and Simon have always said that we make ourselves available. If you've got any problems or you want to talk, it's like a family. And again, this is the mental health thing. We've had people come up to us and say, thanks for that. You know what? I'd like to ask you a question. And they might ask Simon a question about, you know, what's the best way for me to go about doing this? I'm not going to name anything.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
But he may give advice, or that he may say to me, well, ask Jum, he knows a bit more.
Yeah.
So, and we go like that. We try to make a social life for people there, and like a family of functions, like a fireworks night, we all get together, and then we had a Christmas function, like most people do, and you have to.
Yeah.
Get the family, get the mums, get the dads, get the kids. Make it happen.
I like it there. I've been a couple of times. I need to go a lot more, and I know Simon will probably listen to
this.
Because
it's changing.
Yeah.
It's big down there now.
I've been to a couple of classes down there.
Yeah, we've got the extension we got put on now. You know, big pagoda up there with the 20-foot ring now.
Yeah.
Just going to start laying the canvas on it and board it up, and then we're going to do another one down the bottom. You know, it's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
and I like his setup down there. You know, like when I first came in and saw it, I was like, this is different. You know, it's a different setup, and it's no messing about. You know, it's you get in there, you got the boxing bags, you got the ring, and the new ring is going to be incredible, like you're talking about. And it is a bit of a family down there. You know, I've made a good connection with people.
There,
good people since I've been coming down now and again. And then I think now that you're down there as well, people are thinking, okay, let's go down and try out. So I'd definitely say to anyone that's interested, definitely get down there and
come and have a look.
Yeah.
We're not asking anything of you.
Yeah. Get down, have a look.
That's the most important thing. Get down there. Got a lot of girls down there that we've spoken to that came down who had a little bit of a weight problem, were very insecure after they'd come out of bad relationships or marriages, and now they're flourishing. They've lost weight, they're boxing well, they're coming down 3 or 4 sessions a week. It's brilliant.
Nice, and that's what it's about, isn't it? You know, getting in, getting it done, and helping others. So, so we spoke there a little bit about Saudi and places like that. And is there any other places you've travelled to with boxing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I worked for the UFC for 5 years.
Oh, okay, that's something I didn't know.
I've done cuts and hands in the UFC down in Rio.
Wow.
Germany, you know, all over like that.
Amazing. Yeah. And do you like boxing better, or?
I love boxing better. Listen, UFC were good to me.
Yeah.
They paid me, but I don't know enough about the grappling on the floor. And maybe because I was a bit naive and negative, I like to stand up. When they got onto the floor, I was like, you know. But I got to deal with some good cuts in that work.
I was going to say, that must be a lot different. Cause,
they zigzag cuts with the elbows.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And with the knees and everything. But I've worked all over Germany. I mean, Albert Sosnowski, Jegos Proxa from Poland, they fought in New Brandenburg and Dusseldorf and places like that over the years.
Yeah, and you got to go there and see them places.
I was in Essen with Albert when he fought Vitaly Klitschko.
Oh, wow. Okay, wow. Vitaly, he's a bit of a...
He got stopped in 10, but that was good.
Yeah, Vitaly and Vladimir, them two are a bit of a beast, aren't they, as fighters as
Jonathan Banks fought on that show as well.
Yeah.
And now he's a trainer.
Wow.
Jonathan Banks, you think he's trained people from the Bronx?
That's insane, isn't it? Yeah, that's a bit mad, that is. And now, like you say, but UFC is something I've not been able to get into for a long time. I think if you've got that love for boxing, although the fundamentals in UFC come from boxing anyway, and they build it up, and obviously you've seen people like, Jake Paul fighting, UFC guys, and you can always see that it's not going to go the way it wants to go because
they know how to sell a brand.
Yeah, they do, 100%. Yeah,
Dan Hardy, John Hathaway. Michael Bisping, Ross Pearson. When I was doing the hands and cuts, they were big people and big names over here. But now it's moved on, obviously.
And I think it's getting a little bit bigger than what it was and growing. But I think boxing has taken over, and I think
boxing's getting better. Yeah. And obviously you've got to thank Turk ALLRAGE for that.
Insane. What he's doing, like I said earlier, he's building it up now, and he's even doing stuff here with the brand, but being over there.
Yeah.
Season. And have you met him? Have you got to meet him?
Met him, but not to stand and talk to. As he's passing, he walks, he'd just be polite and shake a hand, but not to sit down and talk to. I think that would have to come maybe when there's not so many people about, because everyone wants to shake hands with him,
I think he'd be such an interesting person to sit down in a room with and have a conversation with.
I'd like to know what goes around his head every night. He must be like trying to plan things and work things, because he's come up with some great stuff.
Because you look at people like Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren and the guys that are doing that, and in their own right, they're, dedicated in their own right, and they've done things. And they sit there and logically plan stuff out. But what he's doing right now, no one's done before, and even they must be shocked by it. Going, hold on,
I think, let's be honest, a lot of it is to do with the money.
Of course, yeah.
The money is the the sealant of it. I think if Eddie and Frank had the same kind of sealant of money, the never-ending pot as such,
yeah.
I think they could probably come up with something.
Yeah, 100%. Now working together and they're building it all, aren't they, as this big brand. And it's exciting because you're now getting fights. Like I say, I'm a real big fan of Bivol. I like Bivol. He's a good fighter. Better Biev is a monster as well. How do you think that second fight's going to go?
If I was going to be honest, I'd probably go nearly the same way as the first one.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit closer than what they thought it was. But also on that card, you've got Shaka Stevenson, you've got bouts, you've got Callum Smith, you've got Daniel and Joseph. That's some good fights, especially if you've got to think. Callum and Joshua Boazzi will probably be the first fight on.
Yeah, I was going to say and for that to be the first fight on, like that's massive. Yeah. And it excites me about the Parker fight, like Parker and Daniel. Them two excite me. I was talking to someone the other day about Joseph Parker, and I was just saying about, to me, he doesn't get the credit that he should get. He's fought a lot of people who are world champions.
Shows you how they swing.
Yeah,
Parker. So let's go back. Joyce beats up Daniel.
Yep.
Stops him with a eye socket.
Yep.
Joyce then beats Parker.
Yeah.
Parker goes off and performs brilliantly in one of the Riyadh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Starting
Daniel
to spin.
then knocks out Anthony Joshua. Yeah. Zhang goes on to beat Juggernaut twice, and not just beat him, destroy him.
Yeah.
The heavyweight game.
It's not messing around, are they?
No.
And how do you think the current heavyweights would live up to the heavyweights of before?
Oh, some of the heavyweights before were only 15 and a half, 16 stone.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So a lot along those lines, you've got to look at some of the big power, and the big sizes. Some of them might have done okay, but there's some big boys out there.
Yeah, they seem to be getting bigger, bigger and bigger, and it's and I think that's one reason I didn't progress too much with it, because you've got people that are like super heavies and stuff like that, and it's not really a weight
Moses
gauge.
Atumu is a frightening prospect in the making.
Yeah, I've seen him, and I'm going to something about this guy that is going to be.
I must admit, I did laugh the other day when Prince Martin said, "I can knock anybody out. Let me fight Moses Atumu," and I'm thinking, seriously? You got put on your backside by Anthony Joshua and you didn't want to get up. You didn't try to get up. Moses Atumu was a very dangerous man. And I'll tell you another very dangerous man, Martin Bacoli.
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about him and Joshua fighting. I think I saw that today. Him and Joshua fighting. That's going to be an interesting one. I know which way that will go. I like Bacoli. He's dangerous, and I think it's his where he's from and how he is. He's real solid guy, real solid. My favourite one at the moment is Jay Pataya. Cruiserweight. He reminds me a little bit of Parker, and he's got kind of that instinct in him, that kind of finishing instinct. And there's talk about him fighting Usyk as well.
That'd be good. That'd be a hell of a fight.
What do you think about Alexander Usyk?
I like Usyk.
Yeah,
his footwork, his movement. He's had to put on weight slowly to get up to the heavyweight. If he comes back down to cruiserweight, be interesting to see how he balances that.
Yeah, I like him. I've followed him since he did Prize Fighter. So when he was on Prize Fighter, going through all that, and now to where he is. Another one is Lomachenko. I used to love Lomachenko. Yeah, I got to do a ring walk with him actually for Matchroom when he was fighting Campbell. When he was fighting Campbell up in, was it when he fought Campbell up in, was it the O2? I think he had a fight with him.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah. And I was next to him, walked him in with the security. So I was like, that was amazing.
I think Shane was with Campbell, didn't he?
Yeah. And it was, really good that was, Another one I like as well is Joe Cordina. Joe Cordina's,
Joe Cordina. He's with Matchroom, isn't he? I think he's still with Tony Sims, I think.
That's it, yeah, Joe Cordina. I speak to him quite a bit actually now and again. So we touched earlier on about different places you've been to, different areas when it comes to boxing. One thing one place I've been to quite a lot is Cuba. So I enjoy going to Cuba. I like Cuba. I like the way it is. Their boxing's massive out there. Yeah. They've got. Have you
amateur.
Yeah. Have you come across any Cuban boxers? Worked with any?
When they've been over here,
yeah,
we know some are defected and that you get the odd one, but not many. No.
Okay.
I've never been to Cuba. My wife's been to Cuba.
Yeah.
And we keep saying we're going to go back, but it's funny. It's like places that weren't commercialised now have become more commercialised.
That's right, yeah, and it's a lovely place over there. You know, I go. Well, I've been about 6-7 times now, and go to Havana. You got the Olympic boxing gym over there. Yeah. Frank Sanchez is from there. Obviously, he's through. I wouldn't
mind going to Cuba. It'd be nice, something different. I'm a big Dubai man. I love my.
You like Dubai?
In Dubai, yeah. Not in the city, out on the island of Ras Al Khaimah.
Okay.
The Marjan Islands. We go there. We're going again couple of times this year just to give us a break. And
nice.
We love the heat. I'm better in the heat than I am in this cold, wet weather. I tell you that.
I don't go well with the heat. I go ginger, and I end up. Yeah, I get. I like the heat. I love it, but I just don't go too well with the heat.
35 and a plus above, then I'm happy.
Nice bit of baby oil.
No, I don't need the baby oil.
And you're all good. So you like Dubai then, definitely. Yeah, Dubai is one of your places to go to, and you enjoy doing. Now, what is it about Dubai? Is it just
how relaxed it is? How good the people are? How clean it is? You get good quality for your money, you know.
Yeah, and I think people out there are polite and
I just like to go relax. When you do like you do with security and what you do here, and I'm up at 4 every morning into the gym, do my clients, go home, whatever. I don't want to go sightseeing.
No, it's true. Yeah,
I just want to lay back on that sunbed, get a bit of suntan, get in the pool, get on my lazy little hammock lilo with a drink, and that's it. Away we go.
And that point you've made there is a good one actually, because I get people say to me all the time, "Oh, Bill, when you're out in Saudi, when you're here, do you do this? Do you go there? Do you do that?" First of all, I haven't got the time, and second of all, no, I'm chilling. I'm by the swimming pool and I'm chilling out.
That's what holidays are for.
That's what it's for, you know. There are a couple of times I've been to Rome, I've been sightseeing, things like that, but they are a holiday, you know. And if I was lucky enough to be working in them places, again, you know, it's the same thing. But yeah, holidays are for relaxing and chilling.
Yeah, definitely.
So what does Jumbo do on his downtime then? Because you spoke a little bit about sunshine and things like that. What else do you enjoy doing?
I love me dogs.
Okay. Yeah.
I love dogs. I used to have a greyhound with a couple of friends of mine, Trevor and Josh Stevens. We had a dog called In the Blue Corner.
Okay.
And it done really well, done good.
Nice.
But then it got done for turning its head and done it twice, and we had to retire her. We should have put her over sticks, really, but over the jumps. But there you go. I'm a massive baseball fan.
Baseball fan?
Massive baseball fan.
Wow, okay. You got a team you're following?
Yeah, I follow the Yankees and the Kansas City Royals.
Nice.
Going back time, I used to listen to the American Forces Network.
Oh, yeah.
On AFN.
Yeah.
And the first game I ever heard was the New York Yankees v the Kansas City Royals. So I follow both, but more than the Yankees because I get there. That's on the East Coast.
Yeah, yeah.
Kansas City's in the Midwest. I have been there.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
But no, I love my baseball. The pre-season starts on the 21st, and then the season starts early April. So I'll be listening and watching. I subscribe to the MLB.com and watch that.
Wow. What is it about baseball you like the most? Though?
Just like the whole family. It's like the American football, the basketball, the ice hockey. It's all family orientated.
It is.
Very rarely do you see any aggravation.
That's true, yeah.
You support one team, you support the other.
That's right. They can mix and they can do that. NFL, I look after them when they come over here. So
I'm a big Kansas City Chiefs fan, so this weekend's massive.
Oh, buddy, you should have said I had them because they came over last year before, right. I think it was, and we was with them at the thing. So next time I get any, I'll give you a shout.
Travis and Malone fan.
Spoke to Malone, actually at the training ground. Really nice guy.
Really laid back.
Oh, so laid back. And when you think about the amount of money that these guys make, you know, millions and millions. They love it over here. When they come over here, we normally spend about 2 weeks or so with them. Yeah. They come over, they play at Tottenham, play at Wembley. But Kansas, they're doing amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if they win this year, that's their third Super Bowl on the spin. But they got a toughie with the Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. You know, Minnesota Vikings, they came over as well. They're good.
Yeah,
New York
quite a lot
Giants,
of sides have been over.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they like it how it is over here, you know, and it's growing, a big growing community.
It is
growing. But baseball, it's not really over here as much, is it? You know, but that's an area
used
where
to be years ago.
Yeah,
I used to play in Crawley for the Crawley Giants and the Crawley Comets.
Yep.
In London for the London Warriors. In Croydon for the Croydon Blue Jays.
Nice.
Yeah, used to play a bit.
So it was quite big.
It was quite big. You used to have teams down in Brighton, teams in the Midlands, teams in Liverpool, teams in Hull.
Wow.
So it was years ago.
And do you think that's just because it's not been
Well, there was
promoted
a lot of American
as much?
forces networks over here then, a lot of forces bases, and that was big. But we went to Germany and played out in Germany as well, so that was big. No, I just love my chill time, downtime with my family.
Nice.
I like my dogs, obviously. My wife and me, massive Alsatian fan, lovers, German Shepherds. We had one before with the police, and then she went into the prison service, obviously, and now she's retired. We got some small dogs at home as well. So, yeah, we love our dogs.
Nice.
Dogs are good. You can go out, walk with them, and
Can do all sorts,
really
can't you?
relax.
You could tell them things and I never repeat it either. So that's good as well. So that's good. That's good to hear. You know, so you have that bit of downtime when you're working, because I'm sure you're a busy man with everything that you've got going on. So
I like to be busy.
yeah. I think you're a little bit like me, where you couldn't just sit around.
2
not
weeks
do anything.
holiday's good, Bill.
Yeah.
But then I want to get back to it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're self-employed, you've got
Of
to
course. Yeah.
You have 2
true.
weeks holiday, you've got to find 4 weeks' money.
Yeah, so on the back of that, actually, that's led into the next thing I was going to talk to you about, is where you're self-employed with it, because it's like a freelancing, self-employed. So, bit of a personal question. You don't have to ask it, but is it good money?
I don't go short.
Okay, that's it.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
I all the money that goes into my account each month pays bills, and then whatever left over is what I give myself.
Nice.
Some months are bigger than others.
Yeah.
And now I know, with being honoured and gifted enough to, lucky enough to be involved with the Undisputed game,
Yeah.
my life might be a little bit easier, and I might not have to do as much. I'm 66 in May, so,
You're doing well for yourself, buddy. You don't look 66.
I'm looking to slow down a little bit.
So,
But my wife says, not happening.
she's like, no, you need to
She
keep
knows
it going.
me too well.
She knows you'll be at home all the time, or you'll be on
She
more
won't want me
holidays.
under her feet, trust me.
To the game then, because you just mentioned it, and that's something I was going to bring up. When I saw that, I thought, what an absolute legend. He's actually on the game. How did that come around?
Well, obviously, being in and around the boxing for so many years, I had a lot of dealing with a gentleman at Empire Pro Tape,
Yeah.
a lovely man called Dean Sheriff. And he phoned me in April 20
Right.
and said to me, Jum, I've got an offer. I'm going to send you a piece of paper across. It's an agreement. If you like it, let me know. So I read through it, and then I rang him back. I said, I'm a little bit confused. What is this? Because I'm not the brightest bulb. A bit of a dim switch, 1 watt at times. But he went, well, this is what it is. Blah, 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 blah. This company going to make a game, PlayStation, Xbox, get it out there on PC as well. And they're asking if you'd like to be in it, and you'd get a %. My wife went, and I'm going, yeah. So we sent across the contract, sent it back. Me, Jamie Sheldon, another great cut man, Dave Caldwell and Ben Davison. First, from what I understand, first 4 probably to sign up on it.
That is insane.
And it's 4.5 years now, and the first payment is due in March, I believe.
Wow.
So,
And it's not out yet, though, is it? I don't
it's
think.
out.
Oh, is it out
released
yet?
on on PC. It's been out probably about 18 months. I
That's
think.
right. And it's like the equivalent to the Fight Night, isn't it? That used to be out.
And now on PlayStation, Xbox, been out since October 11th.
Wow. Blimey hell, okay. That's a massive achievement to be on a game. That's like the average normal person going, well, I'm on a video game. And when you saw yourself, you must have been like, this is
I
mad.
was shocked.
They did a good job, though.
They've done a good job, especially of the nose. They got the nose really well.
Yeah.
But it's my son got it on PC, and he said to me, Dad, he said, what? You're too expensive. I said, what do you mean I'm too expensive? Do you know how much you cost me to get you on my game? I went, then work your way up from the bottom, son. Work your way up.
That is
Don't jump
quality.
it.
That's so funny. You're thinking, well, I can't help it. I didn't make the
I
price.
don't make the rules up, do I?
Oh, that's so good. And like I said, I saw the image of it and the picture of it, and I thought, yeah, they've done a good job there. And
Someone put up on Instagram a couple of months ago, Carl Frampton was sat there playing it, and he went, that's Jumbo.
That's right,
I know him.
Yeah, that's right. I
'cause I've
saw
done
that.
his cuts, obviously, Carl.
I thought that's hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious. It was. It's the way he done it.
I thought it was so funny because I did
Bless him.
see that and I did think that's so funny. And it's a bit surreal when you're playing it and then you see you on there. You're like, hold on a minute, I know who that is.
I don't play them kind of. I ain't got the time.
You should play yourself on there, and then
I haven't got the time for that, Bill.
you'll find yourself going, I could do a better job than that what he's doing on the screen. So,
No.
so that's a good story how that came around, and are you looking at doing any other things like that at all? If the offers come up,
if the offer comes, it's like, I know it sounds silly, but I done a bit in a film with Ian McGuire, Lurch.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Gatwick Gangsters.
That's right. Yeah.
And I only had one scene in it because every time they wanted me before, again, I was at boxing shows. You know, that little bit of acting thing of being a third party in something. I'd love to do that. Of course I would. Not saying I'm going to be any good at it. But you don't know, do you?
Exactly, and it's a different element and different area now. Me and Lurch actually have been in a couple of things before, playing doorman and stuff like that. And good guy as well, really good guy. I was just talking to you before this actually, saying he messaged me saying, you know,
what was the question?
Yeah, it was something along the lines of. Apparently he'd know the question or something when I've asked you it. So, but he was saying along the lines of you're an inspiration. Who's your inspiration, and how did you get into it? And yeah. So
we were very lucky and unlucky in some respects. We had a very good friend of ours, Pete Barton. He was AKA Cut Swifty. He was a DJ, music man, and he was starting to learn the game with me, coming through all the boxings and everything, travelling with me. He wasn't a bad little boxer himself, actually. And then, obviously, unfortunately, sadness that he passed away. And me and Lurch were met through Pete, but we still stayed good friends. And obviously, both of us done the doors, like yourself. Excuse me. And we stayed good friends. We don't see as much as each other because I'm working that way and he's working this way. But his parents are lovely people, like I said to you before, very, very big churchgoers, very good religious people, very nice people. You know, I don't get to church as much as I like to. My church is the ACC in Edmonton, Apostolistic Christian Church, with Archbishop Costas Evangelou.
Nice.
His sons were Christopher and Andrea.
Okay. Yeah.
Andrea went on to box and Christopher boxed. And Christopher's an actor now. He's been in The Gentleman.
Wow, yeah.
And they've got their own gym.
Wow, I didn't. Yeah, that's.
No, my Archbishop's a good man. I can go to him to talk. That's one person I did talk to a bit.
Okay, yeah, because I went up to Norwich recently, and I went up to Norwich Cathedral up there, and my partner's Catholic, so you know, really we're down that line. When I went to Rome, I went to all the Catholic churches and things like that. I actually sat for a long time. I haven't been to an evening mass, and I sat an evening mass up in Norwich about a week or so ago for the first time in about 4 years. Insane feeling, you know, how I felt when I was sitting there, you know.
I spoke to Archbishop and I said to him, look, there's something that I feel about the religious side, because when I was a child, me and my sister were very much into the Salvation Army.
Oh, yeah.
God bless her. She passed with meningitis at the age of 23. And he said, look, there's a persona, there's something. You have to hunt and find what you want. Find the church. So I went to 3 or 4 different churches, and I said to him, I haven't really found what I'm looking for. And he said, well, come up to the ACC. So I went up to the ACC in Edmonton, and I never ever looked to go anywhere else.
Wow.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Really good choir.
Wow.
Really good children's church downstairs, and you were made to feel wanted, and not that you were special.
Yeah.
As in being someone special, but you were all special. Everyone was special.
Yeah. Well, that's the message, isn't it? You know?
Bishop travels all over the world with everything. You look him up. He's an
I will.
excellent
I'll have to look him up, definitely.
Costas Evangelou, Archbishop Costas Evangelou.
Yeah, I'll have to look
I'm very grateful to him and the family as well.
And you think that helped you a lot, you know, going to church?
I would never push it on you.
No. That's the
Everyone
main
to
thing.
their own.
Yeah.
If you're whatever you are, you're bisexual, you're gay, you're lesbian, whatever.
Yeah.
You're you. You're still a lovely person.
Yeah.
So what I believe in is what I believe in.
Definitely.
But I could never ever push it on anybody.
I'm the same, you know, and not people get a little bit shocked when I mention that I've been to church, things like that. People might not know, but I don't push it on people. I accept everyone how they are. But for me, there's a feeling when I go there that I can't explain.
It's something that makes you feel.
There's something, and it's warm and calm. Yeah. You know, I was listening to that choir, and I was in with the choir, sitting in with them when I went up to the evening mass.
I like a lot of gospel music.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. What music are you into?
I'm into all kinds. I love my Tamala Motown and my reggae, my Northern Soul.
I love Motown.
But people like Van Morrison. He's got a song called "When God Shines a Light on Me."
Okay,
have a listen to it. Brilliant song. Yeah, and then you've got Al Green with some of his
Al
stuff.
Green's one of my favourites.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, I like my gospel stuff, so I listen to very, very wide You know,
I'm into my Otis Redding, my Al Green, my I like my Ray Charles. I used to be listening to saxophone when I was a
love
child.
the saxophone.
Saxophone is
My
probably
15-year-old grandson,
yeah.
Finley, plays in the band with his dad. He's just learnt himself to play the drums. My son Lee learnt himself to play the guitar off TV. And
Oh
things
yeah,
like that.
oh amazing.
And I see him on a video the other night at a party, and I'm thinking, how do you have the talent to do that? I can't do it.
I can't play an instrument. No,
I can't sing. I'm a shower singer, and that's rubbish and all. But no, music's an inspiration. I love to listen to music when I'm driving.
Yeah,
It's just
I'm the same.
background country, especially country. There's always a story to country music.
Yeah, do you know what?
Always
I've
story.
started getting into country music quite a lot. I listen to it. I put the radio on. It might be because I'm getting a little bit older now, but I start listening to country music, and I think
Your variation of music will change as you go on.
yeah, and I found that. I'm in my mid-30s now, and I'm going to myself, well, actually, country music. There's something about it, and
Listen
there's
to
a
some of
story.
Dolly Parton stuff, the songs, that she sings, Coat of Many Colours,
Yeah.
stuff like that, and they're good. There's always a
And when you put it all together, like you say, your experiences that you've been through, the losses that you've had to overcome, how you started out, your mentor there, and passing away, and where you are now. When you look at it, you've got to be proud of what you've done so far.
I am proud of what I've done, but anyone who knows me knows I'm not a taker. I'm a giver.
Yeah.
I will give to people rather than. When I first got with my wife, after being on my own for 15, 16 years, she started buying me things, and I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute here, what's going on here? I can't handle this, I can't cope with this, but I've got to cope with it now.
Yeah.
But I'd rather give you something than you give me something.
Right.
But that's me.
Yeah.
I am proud of what I've done. I just wish my mum and dad and my sister could have been alive to see what had happened.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're looking down, buddy, and they're thinking to themselves where you are and what you're doing now. So, what's the future look like? What have you got coming up that you can share with us? And where do we go next?
Next weekend, I'm in Manchester. I'm working with Pat McCormack for Ben Davison.
Nice.
And Reece Bellotti, because he's got a fight with Gomez Jr. that got called off once before.
Oh yeah.
It's hard because Robbie Davis Jr. is going to be in the other corner to Pat McCormack, and obviously I've done Robbie before now. So, and then obviously Caroline Dubois on the 7th of March, and then I'm not allowed to release the date, but
no, that's fine. Yeah.
Lee said there's something coming up as well.
Nice.
Lee would, so I wouldn't release that until they release it itself.
That's fair enough.
And then anything else that comes my way.
So you've got quite a lot of stuff coming up, like you say, and hopefully a couple more trips back to Saudi. That should be nice. Yeah, that should be good. And yes, see what happens going forward.
Every day you take every day at a time, one at a time.
And then what's your message for anyone out there that wants to get into boxing, that's struggling and wants to get in? What would you say?
I'd say to anyone in boxing, if you have the inkling of doing anything, do it. Don't let people tell you that you can't do it. If you get knocked down, get back up and try again. I never got at it straight away. I had to try for ages. And, if you first don't succeed, get up and do again. But always listen to me what I'm going to say here. Make sure you've got good people around you. Don't just jump into something. Make sure you've got good people around you. If you've got good people around you, you're going to feel comfortable. You don't want negativity. You don't want grumpiness and anger, because that just breeds wrong.
Yeah.
You've got to have strong people and make sure that you feel this is the right environment for you. Don't give up. If I can do it, who didn't have a single exam when I left school, anybody can do it.
100%. And that's such a touching message there, just keep going, don't give up, move forward, So, and last but not least, but who's been the biggest person you've met? For example, like the biggest celebrity or the most famous person you've met, who would that have been?
I think one of the nicest things that was said to me by a former world champion and a boxer, everyone I meet, I'm grateful that I've met. But after Chris's fight in Saudi, and I stepped into the ring, and Bernard Hopkins come up to me, shook my hand and said, "Man, you kept your boy in the fight. You done a damn good job." And I think,
wow,
whoosh.
Yeah, that's a legend itself,
But not only that, people, just like people like Barry McGuigan. Barry McGuigan always says things like, "Jumbo, we're so glad we got you. we know we can trust and rely on you. Simple little things like that. I do it because obviously A, I'm getting paid, but B, I enjoy what I do. But yeah, Bernard Hopkins, when he shook my hand in the ring after Chris's defeat to Ramirez, but he said to me, "You kept him in that fight, man. Good job."
That must have been something else. You must have thought, hold on a minute.
But I'll always feel blessed to have met Al Gavin. Definitely.
And I think that stems back to what Ian was asking actually earlier about, when you talk about your mentor and influence, and Al Gavin's definitely the one there.
Yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. That was a loss. That was a big loss. Not just to me or his family, but to the boxing world. Very knowledgeable man.
And then he's passed it all on to yourself, and now...
Passed it a lot on to me, yeah. And now I'm just trying to pass it on to people who want to do what I do. So
do you how do you take it when people say you're a legend? Because so many people I've spoken to say you're a legend.
Yeah, I don't. I'm just me. I'm just me. What you see is what you get.
To us, you're a legend. You always will be. And I wish you the best. I wish you the best in the future. Hopefully, our paths across even more. And
I hope so. I hope you come down the gym and do it.
I will. I'll get down with you. I'll get down and do a couple of bits. Bring some people down as well where I can.
Some pads. Let's see what
100%. Yeah. See if I've got it. See if I've got something. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for asking me. I feel blessed to be asked.
And it's been great, and I'm sure everyone's enjoyed it, and hopefully we've answered everything that people wanted to know, and I'm sure there might even be a part 2, because I know people will probably say they want to hear more from you because you're so interested in so many stories, and we'll get that going. So
that'd be nice.
Thank you very much.
Bill,
I really appreciate it.
Much.
Take care, buddy.
Appreciate it.